Welcome to Becoming a Sleep Consultant. I'm your host, Jane Havens, a certified sleep consultant and founder of both Snooze Fest by Jane Havens and Center for Pediatric Sleep Management. On this podcast, I'll be discussing the business side of sleep consulting. You'll have an insider's view on launching, growing, and even scaling a sleep consulting business. This is not a podcast about sleep training. This is a podcast about business building and entrepreneurship. On today's episode of the Becoming a Sleep Consultant podcast, I'm joined by Valerie, a respiratory therapist, mom of two, and now a thriving pediatric sleep consultant. Valerie opens up about what it was really like during her first year in business, the fears, the milestones, and the mindset shifts that helped her go from just starting out to confidently supporting families each month. We talk about what gave her the push to get certified, how she balances her consulting work with motherhood and her hospital shifts, and the exact moment she realized that this side hustle could actually become something bigger. Valerie shares so many honest reflections, plus her goals for year two, and a couple of sweet client stories that you won't want to miss. Whether you're thinking about becoming a sleep consultant or you've already started down this path, my interview with Valerie will inspire you to keep moving forward. Valerie, welcome to the Becoming a Sleep Consultant podcast. I'm so excited to have you here with me today.
Thank you, Jane. I'm so excited to be here. Good morning.
So before we get started, tell us a bit about yourself and why you decided to get certified to work as a sleep consultant.
So my name is Valerie Holm. I am a mommy of two. So right now I have a 2-year-old and a 4-year-old and a bonus son who is 16. And I am married to my husband. We live in California together. We have been married nearly 10 years. And before I ventured into the world of sleep consulting, I have been a respiratory therapist for 12 years. So at the time of thinking about becoming a sleep consultant, I had been an RT for like 9 to 10 years. And so my journey into sleep consulting, this might be a little bit long-winded, so I will try to keep it a little bit short. But this started with my firstborn. So my beautiful firstborn, again, who's 4, her name is Emma. I was the type of mom who was like, I didn't research sleep that much. I went to all the birthing classes, lactation classes, and I just, for whatever reason, thought like, oh, she'll just sleep when she sleeps. Like, it wasn't something that I was super concerned about. I was like, oh, babies are super sleepy. It'll be fine. It was not fine. Actually, she would only sleep if someone was like physically holding her. So my husband and I, to survive this and kind of battle this, we took turns for months holding her while she slept day and night. So in the night when we were holding her, we would stay awake because I was like terrified to co-sleep. I was like, that wasn't something that I could do. I had tried it once or twice and like my body would just not fall asleep next to her. And so that just wasn't an option for us. And so for months and months, like 2 or 3 months, we took turns all night long. Like I was trying to find stuff on Netflix to like keep myself awake at 2 a.m., 3 a.m., 4 a.m. And so my husband actually had to go back to work after his paternity leave at like the 2.5, 3 month mark. And I realized that I could not hold her physically 24/7, even though I loved her so much. And so I started to try to push her into the crib. Sometimes this worked okay. Sometimes she would wake up like every hour, every 2 hours. And basically I was losing it. I was like, my mental health was suffering, our marriage was suffering, like all the things. And I remember calling my dear lactation consultant at the time, who was helping me with like, all the lactation part of it. And I called her. She was kind of like a support person for me. And I was crying and I was like, I know this is not like your thing, like sleep is not your thing, but like, do you have any idea how to get this baby to like sleep without me holding her like in her crib? I have no idea what I'm doing. And she really gently and really lovingly was like, have you looked into sleep training? And at this point, Emma's like 4.5 months old. And I was like, sleep training? Okay, so then that sent me down like this massive rabbit hole. I took a pretty popular course. I read a couple of books. I asked my pediatrician about it. I got the okay. She was like, it's totally safe. And I was like, Okay, so after about a few weeks of like coming to the decision to do it and like researching as much as possible, I was still really nervous to do it because the internet is very loud about sleep training. And it ended up just being the best thing in the entire world. It was an adjustment the first couple of nights, and then after that, it was like, whoa, this is amazing. Like she started just putting herself to sleep and she would sleep 11 hours and like wake up super happy. And it just changed the trajectory of like everything to come. And it was really amazing. So sorry that was so long-winded, but
No, I love that. I love that. My story is similar, although I wasn't holding my son all night long, but I had that same like transformation when we decided to implement sleep training for my son 12 and a half years ago. We were, every hour putting a pacifier in his mouth to get him to go back to sleep. And literally 2, 3 nights of sleep training, and he was an 11-hour sleeper, chef's kiss, right?
yes.
And it's transformative. Like it changes the dynamic of your household. It improved my marriage. It improved my relationship with my baby. All of a sudden, I was enjoying him again. I can see, everybody's listening to us, not seeing our faces, but
Yes.
like our facial expressions are like, ah, yes, right. And
Yeah.
so then I'm wondering, like, from that experience of sleep training your own child, how long between that and then deciding, I actually want to help other moms, I want to support people through this process? What sort of led you to wanting to do this professionally?
So it took me a little bit to come to that decision. So I realized how amazing it was, and just naturally I just started talking about it to like other moms. I started helping friends, friends of friends, and like Facebook groups. I'm a part of like a lot of like mommy type, like hobby type Facebook groups, and just naturally if someone had a question, I'm like, I'm on my keyboard just like, oh my God, try this, try this, try this. And it was just something very fun for me to just do that. And after a while, I went back to work at the hospital full time, and I was like, this is horrible. And now I do have a passion for working in the hospital as an RT, sure, but I wanted something else because I didn't like to be away from my baby. And I was like, well, what if we became a sleep consultant? Because I didn't realize that sleep consultants, like personal sleep consultants, existed. Because I took a course, so I didn't know that there was like a whole nother side to that. And so I looked more into it and looked more into it. I was like looking for courses. I probably Googled something like how to become a sleep consultant or becoming a sleep consultant and found you. And I just was researching for a while. I'm someone who like takes her time to make decisions a little bit, especially a big one like that. I think the time probably like 6 or so months. And then I landed on a couple of them and I decided on yours, and I'm so happy I did. And yeah, so it was like 6 or so months to make the decision, and then a couple of months to like do a little bit of research. And then I finally, I think, um, decided. I was like, okay,
Yeah.
we're gonna do it.
So take us back to your first month in business. I know that you're such a go-getter and you're a pretty confident person, but I'm wondering what was going through your mind as you were first getting started. Did you have those sort of like worries and fears that come along with starting something new, or were you just like so stinking excited to get going that you didn't let all that stuff cloud your brain?
Right. So I think a little bit of both. So yes, I'm very like ambitious. I'm driven. I'm like, okay, I put my mind to something and I'm like, we're doing it. And then also I was like, okay, this is new. I also want to be really good at it. I want to like get that experience and this and this. And so I think my first month of business, um, I'm not sure when that was. So I'm air quoting for people who can't see this. I launched my business at the end of 2023. And by launch my business, I mean I posted on my personal Facebook group or my personal Facebook page, hey, I'm a sleep consultant now. Like I'm ready to take on clients. Like, do you know anyone? And like that was me launching it. Okay. And at that point, I was like, okay, what happens now? Because it was kind of crickets. I just thought that people would just flock to me and I would just get clients, and it didn't quite do that. So that was the very end of 2023. I got my first paying client in February of 2024, so a few months later. So I think um, posting on the Facebook was like my soft launch. And then I finally, like a couple of months later, it took me some time, conversations, and building. I do most of my business on Instagram, which I love. It's like my thing that I have found that I am good at. So I just built that a little bit, started conversations, and it took me a little bit of time to get that client. And so my first month of business, I think I'm going to start by like my first paying client. I did a couple of pro bonos before this. And yeah, it was amazing. I went through all the things with her, and I actually have her testimonial printed right above my desk right here, so I can read that every time. It's like this long. And it was like, wow, like, this is amazing. Like, I've met for this. Like, it just brought me like so much happiness to like help her and be with her. We have become great friends since. And yeah, so it's just been amazing. So a bit of like getting to know what works for me, and then being confident and just driven to just figure it out.
When would you say that you really started to get your stride and get into a rhythm? I know that you're currently supporting anywhere from, I think it's like 3 to 8 families, seven-ish families a month, which is amazing, by the way, for being 1 year into business. If
Yeah.
you're supporting about 7 families a month, that's amazing. So proud of you. Like I'm glowing, so proud of you. When would you say that you got your stride and started to feel like you were in a rhythm and in a groove with sort of like a steady stream of families, even if it wasn't 7 a month, even if it was like 3 or 4 a month? When would you say you started to feel that way?
I think that came a few months after my first one. So I had worked with my first one, and then I didn't get a client for like a whole month after that. It was like, oh, okay, I had this amazing thing. I want to do it again. And it just takes some time to just find the way that works for you to like get those clients. And I think it was like last summer. So the first client was in February, and then last summer I just saw all of the seeds that I had planted like a few months before that kind of blossoming, and I was like, wow, this is amazing. So last summer I started to see all that happening, and I got into a better groove, and I found certain things that like worked, and I started to get at least 2 to 3 clients-ish a month. And now, a year later, or a little bit over a year later, I'm supporting 7 clients currently right this very second, with another one starting literally tomorrow. So it just takes time. And yeah, it was just a few months after that. I'm just trying to figure out like what works for me. That's all.
Yeah. And you said that you are using Instagram to grow your
Mhm.
business. Can you speak into that a little bit? Are you creating a lot of content? Are you using the platform as a mechanism to just connect with people and start conversations and then take those conversations offline? What does that look like for you, if you don't mind sharing?
Yeah, both. So I post content. I've gotten into a groove of posting content like Monday through Friday-ish. So that just looks like a reel. That could be a carousel. That could be like, I share a lot about my story because people resonate with that, and how amazing sleep training was for me, and people can resonate with that. I try to kind of combat the negativity and like misconceptions of what sleep training is in my content. So people can read that and be like, okay, because the internet's so loud, and it was like something that made me a little bit nervous to do it. So I try to make my Instagram just kind of like a safe, non-judgmental, really educational, really value-packed space that moms can go to. And of course, you have to start conversations to get clients. Most of the time, they don't just flock to you. Eventually, maybe that'll happen, but my clients come from conversations,
Yeah.
typically. I'm at a point now where I'm getting some referrals, which is amazing. So they just kind of hop on a call, and I've never seen their name on my calendar ever. And I'm like, okay, that's amazing. But yeah, it's a lot of content. I'm posting on my stories, and then my stories, I'm just really posting like what's going on with my clients because people want to see that. Like I will post my morning check-ins, and they're like, "Oh my God, my baby slept 11 hours again." So I'm just posting that. So I'm just posting like what's possible, what's going on with my clients. It's all very natural to for me to do that because it's all just things that are happening. And yeah, just starting conversations and just asking people, you know, if they want help with that.
Yeah. And tell me a little bit about how you're juggling your life. Like, you have two young kids, you
Yeah.
have your job, like your respiratory therapist job.
Mhm.
And did you call it a real job? Because I
I've
always
said a
call it,
job, but like,
oh, a
yeah,
job, job. Yeah, I was
my
gonna
side
say, like, you
hustle
have
at
your
this
real
point.
job, right? Your job, we'll call it your job, and then sleep consulting. How are you juggling all of that, and what does that look like day to day?
Right. So I was working full time up until probably September of last year. So for me, that looks like 3 to 4, depending on what was going on, 12-hour shifts a week at the hospital doing that. And so for a long time, I would do this. I would wake up early in the morning. I'm talking like 5 a.m., like before the kids wake up. I'm working on stuff. I'm making sleep plans. I'm doing my content at 5 a.m. because that's the time I had. Or when my youngest, who is 2, during her nap time, I've been doing that. And then in the evenings, it's like, um, but it doesn't feel like work to me. It just feels fun, and I really enjoy doing it. So like, I don't mind using, I'm quoting free time to do that. And my second, so she's 2 now. She is just now starting to go to preschool in the last like month. And today is her first ever full day. So we've been gradually transitioning her into this. So today is her very first day going for 7 whole hours. So it's been, my time has been very, very limited. And I've just been balancing that with doing this when I can, when they're like sleeping, or maybe dad takes them to the park for like 45 minutes and I'm like trying to get stuff done. And thankfully this has made it so where I am per diem now, so that just means like as needed. So I am working like 1, maybe 2 shifts a week now, and those are 10 to 12-hour shifts. So like I have gone from 32 plus hours a week to like 10, and it's been amazing. So it's honestly this sleep business, my side hustle, has turned into like my main gig, and my respiratory therapy job is now like my little side hustle where I'm like, oh, I'll pick up if like I feel like it, but I don't feel the need to work full time, and I don't think that I'll ever go back full
Yeah.
time.
That just makes me so happy. And I appreciate you sharing the journey and the process because I think so many people who are listening to this who work full time or close to full time, they ask me all the time, like, how do I have time for this? How do I make time? Where do I find the time? And, you know, person after person after person who I interview who's been through the process, they all tell me that they just love the work so much that they make the time. And, when you are doing something that is meaningful and that you're passionate about and that brings you joy and fills your cup, you find the time to make it happen. I really truly believe that. And it's very clear when listening to you talk that for you, this was not about the money. This was about changing lives, making moms happier and making for better family life. And I think really when you show up with that energy, like this isn't about making the sale, this isn't about how many dollars I can bring in. This is about like, how can I help this mom thrive in these early stages of motherhood? And I think when you show up with that energy, the business comes.
Exactly. No, I would completely agree. Yeah, so my business doesn't feel like, it definitely doesn't feel like work at the hospital, which feels like work, right? So this is like my passion. I love it. And yeah, I love working with my clients and literally changing their whole lives when we get their baby sleeping and they have those like moments where like they're like, oh my God, he has never slept more than, 1 hour at a time. And he just slept 6 hours for the first time ever. And it's like, oh, I love it. It honestly, just makes me super, super happy. So yeah.
Do you have a case that you can share a little bit about that maybe felt overwhelming or out of your comfort zone or intimidating or scary, and then maybe it turned out to be a great story?
Yes, so I have a couple. I will maybe choose one, maybe the second if we have time. But my first 3 month old. So I was a little nervous to do this. And so this mom was in the exact same shoes that I was in. So she and her husband, it was like the same situation. We're holding their baby all night long, staying awake, and this baby had rarely touched a bassinet in his whole 3 months of living. And that's a little bit intimidating, but I was like, oh my God, she's in the same exact situation I was. And it was like a full circle moment. And I'm like, I can't not take this case, but I was still just a little nervous to do it. And I actually enlisted the help of someone in our CPSM, Carrie. She is amazing. And I was like, I would love some like help on this. And she was like, oh, of course. And so she helped me with that. We used, of course, like a slower, more gradual method to help. And it took some time. It took 3 weeks instead of two. And it was super tough in the beginning because again, the baby had rarely ever touched a bassinet. And so we just did a really, really slow, really gradual. Emotions were very high for parents. They were very nervous and very anxious to do this, but they knew that like they just couldn't, it wasn't sustainable and they were just kind of, losing it how I was. And it ended up being amazing. And Carrie is amazing. If you listen to this, thank you so much. I love you. And yeah, so that was a super tough case. It was my first ever 3 month old, and it ended up being amazing. And now, since then, 3 to 4 months old are kind of my fave and kind of like my thing. And now, like, I feel very, very confident in to do that, um, which I think is like really special because um, a lot of parents are nervous to make changes to their baby's sleep until like the 5, 6 month mark. And so they could be just suffering until then when they don't really need to do that. So I have kind of honed in like a strategy specific for like 3 to 4 months old. And it's amazing. And parents don't have to suffer for another 3 months. So yeah, that was one of my tougher cases, but it ended up working amazing. And now that mom is pregnant again and expecting her next baby. And she was like, it's amazing that she now has that information to take on to her next baby. And she felt like she could handle another baby because now she knows how to get them to sleep. And so that was super amazing. I had another super tough case, and this was a little bit older. I think she was about 6 months when mom finally started. So mom was pretty anxious, pretty high emotion. Her sweet babe was waking up literally every 15 to 25 minutes and needing to be resettled. She signed on with me and completed the intake process like 2 months before we started. She kept putting it off because she was so scared. She's like, my baby could never do this. It will never work. Nothing about this is gonna work. But like she needed something. And so she finally came to me. And at the time, she had moved back in with her parents because she physically could not handle all of like the wake ups. And her baby was drinking 12 to 13 ounces at night between like 3 feeds. And so we really gradually weaned all that. This again took about 3 weeks instead of two. I extended both of these clients a week on my own just to get them where they wanted to be, and it was perfect. And yeah, so that was super tough because the emotions were really high. Parents were like, oh, really, really nervous, and we just did it gradual and we figured it out. And the first time that baby slept more than literally 25 minutes, the mom like hit the floor. The first like 5 hour stretch she got, she was like, oh, this is amazing. And then eventually we got to 7 hours, 9 hours, 11 hours, and now she's just sleeping and not eating at night. And she was a really difficult eater during the day, of course, because she's taking 12 ounces at night. So we flipped all that and got her eating well at night, or eating well during the day, napping well during the day, and then sleeping through the night. It was amazing.
it really feels like magic, even though sometimes it's really hard work, right?
Yes. Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah. And I love that you gave both of those families a little bit of extra time. I would have done the same.
Mhm.
I always tell families there's nothing magical about 14 days. That is not, that is not some magic number where
Mhm.
everything is just ironed out and perfect all the time. And my policy, and it sounds like maybe yours is similar, is that if I feel like parents are coachable and they're doing the work and they're really invested in the process and they're listening to me and doing everything that we talked about, if it takes a little bit longer, I'm always happy to give them extra time. Now, if they're not coachable and they're not doing what we talked about, then like that's sort of on them. But for parents who are sort of doing everything in a way that I feel like is aligned with making progress and in a way that feels safe and comfortable for them,
Mhm.
I'm also always going to give them a few extra days of my time. So I love that you did that for those two families and you got them the wins and now you get to like remember them as success stories and hopefully they'll
Right.
become referral sources for you.
Mhm.
And again, like I think this is stuff that fills our cup just as much as, like our clients are so happy and their lives are changed, but
Yeah.
like I can see from the expression on your face and I feel the same way that it just never gets old when you hear from these families when the parents text us in the morning and they're like, Teddy slept through the night or Lucy didn't get out of bed once or whatever it is.
Yeah.
It just never gets old. It's just, it's so incredibly rewarding.
No, I agree, like full-heartedly. One of my favorite things is to wake up and like check in on my clients, and they're like, "Oh, this is amazing," and my baby just did this or that, or like even with nap times, we turn those little puny 30-minute naps into like 60 or 2 hours sometimes, and they're like, "Oh my God, like I took a shower, I read a book," like all these things that feel like really big deals that they haven't had time to do in months because their baby isn't sleeping. So yeah, it makes me very happy.
It's the best. It's the best. I'm actually staring at my cell phone right now that's sitting right next to my computer so
Yeah.
I can see all the text messages and
Yeah,
I'll get back to them after we're done
sure.
recording. And a mom that I'm working with, a little 3-month-old, texted
Hmm.
me 8:30 to 10 a.m., napped beautifully. And it's like,
Yeah.
yay! The best.
Right.
Um, Talk to me about like goals for the next year. I bet you have some ideas in mind for what you want your business to look like moving forward. Can you share a little bit about that?
Sure. So, my goals, I have thought to start my own podcast. I haven't put
I
that in
hope
the
you
works
will.
yet, but yeah, I think it would be really fun and, give my clients a chance to just get to know me a little bit better and, share whatever I feel like sharing. And so I want to do that. I actually have made my own infant sleep training course because I just thought that would be amazing. So that launches actually today in about 55 minutes. So I have done that. I have worked on that for the past, like, I don't know, 5 or 6 months. So it took me some time. I just try to make it the best possible. So I'm launching that a little bit. And in terms of like business, I want to get more like referral sources. So like maybe a pediatrician, like in-person sources like that. That's not something that I have dived totally into yet, but that's on my to-do list. And yeah, just support more clients now that I'm getting a little bit more time. Again, we have preschool in the works now, and so this today is actually the first full day I have ever had to work on just business, and I'm really excited. And yeah, just support more mommies with this more time that I have.
Yeah. Well, I really appreciate you sharing your first full day free with me.
With Jane, of course.
I'm so honored and flattered. I think that this was fantastic and I'm so proud of you and I really feel like this is just the beginning for you,
Mhm.
like really now that I check in with my grads who are 1 year in, 2 years in, 4 years in,
Right.
and to see the growth month over month, year over year. Sometimes when you're in it, it feels really slow or even sometimes stagnant at times. But then when you look back 12 months ago to
Mhm.
now, when you look at a bigger time frame, you can really see the growth and transformation. And I think you're a perfect illustration of that. And I just cannot even wait to see what happens for you in, the second half of 2025 and beyond. Congrats on all of your early success. And I just can't wait to see what you crank out. I'm excited about your course. And I wish you all the best of luck. So thank you so much for taking the time to share your story.
Thank you so much, Jane. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much for listening to this episode of the Becoming a Sleep Consultant podcast. If you enjoyed today's episode, it would mean so much to me if you would rate, review, and subscribe. When you rate, review, and subscribe, this helps the podcast reach a greater audience. I am so grateful for your support. If you would like to learn more about how you can become a certified sleep consultant, head over to my Facebook group, Becoming a Sleep Consultant, or to my website, thecpsm.com. Thanks so much, and I hope you will tune in for the next episode.